I am mixing up my purple drink, and while I'm doing that today, I want to tell you guys about a story, something that just happened over the weekend. I think it's so important to share about because, and this is so random, I feel like when you have kids who are athletes, especially for some reason, I feel like kids whose parents coach them get really bad raps, like, oh, he's the coach's kid, so da-da-da-da. And while I know that that can be true in some cases, our kids do not get leniency when it comes to the way that they act, their sportsmanship, how they play, stuff like that. And I don't know if it's because Cody and I were both really high-level athletes, but they will never get passes to be lazy or act certain ways or treat people the way that they're not supposed to. If anything, we are harder on them than we would be on anybody who's not our kids. So, because I see it all the time in like these travel baseball pages that I see often where people post about like coaches' kids and like, oh, if you're on a team and the dad's the coach, like you're on the wrong team. There's too many travel teams nowadays to not have a parent being one of the coaches. It's really rare, actually, to not have a parent be a coach. But regardless, I think that stigma can oftentimes be wrong because, like I just said, our kids, we're just harder on them. And this weekend was a perfect example of that. So what happened was Eli, we know that he's going to be a good athlete no matter what sport he does. Clearly, baseball is going to be his sport. It's just he's so freaking good at it. But we've always had a problem with his emotions, right? He's very emotional. And I don't want him to not be emotional. Like, I don't ever tell him to, like, hold in his feelings. We're more so trying to get him to use his feelings in a more productive way, especially when he's on the field. So he's been doing really well, actually. He's not really had like these emotional outbursts at games for a while. And I really do think that wrestling was helping with that. So anyway, this weekend, and even it happened last weekend at the big tournament we were at, where he was pitching and he wasn't pitching very well. So he only pitched an inning, I think it was. Cody was like, pull him. Like, Cody's not the head coach. He just kind of helps with like batting and whatever they need him for. So he told the coach, like, pull him. Like, he's not pitching well, like whatever. And he just had like a complete mental breakdown. He was crying on the field. He was crying in the outfield. Like all of this, all the stuff that he used to do, he started doing again. And we were like, this is not okay. Like, you cannot do this. So we had a talk. That was Friday night. Sunday he showed up. He was better. He was, not in a funk, like whatever. So this past Saturday, he was doing well, had a great game. Mind you, this child is batting like 800 or 900 on this season. Like, he's hitting 8 out of 10 times. That's crazy. Like, that's insane. Okay. So we know he's very talented. He knows he's very talented, but he's also very hard on himself. And when he gets frustrated one area, he makes up excuses in like every other area. So he had pitched one inning, and again, he wasn't pitching the best. So Cody's like, okay, like, I'm going to give him another try. Let's see how he does, if he can like come around. And so he pitches, whatever, they come into bat. He hits a double, like such a good ball to the outfield. He comes in already like upset and crying, like thinking about something that hasn't happened yet. So he goes to Cody and he's like, do I get to pitch another inning? Like upset, like way more upset than that. And Cody's like, no, I was going to let you, but now I can already tell that your head's not in it. So no. And he just started crying. And I'm like, this is so embarrassing. Like, this is so embarrassing. He's 10. So this is something we've been working on. Okay. And now we don't let our kids get away with this stuff. Okay. So he sat out the inning because we were going back onto the field. He was pulled. He sat on the bench. He was crying. So I go over and I'm like, come on, come out. Like, go take a walk. And he's like, no. He's starting to like get snappy with me. And when he gets in this mood, he gets defensive, and it's everybody else's fault. And I think that's the biggest thing, is he never wants to take accountability, and it becomes me, and not this is what's best for the team, right? Because I've told him a million times, if you're not pitching well, do you think it's best for the team if you stay in pitching? He almost like blames everybody else, like, oh, it's dad's fault because he won't let me pitch. And I'm like, no, you weren't pitching well. Do you think it's best to stay there and potentially give up more runs and bring the mood of your team down, or go back to the outfield or to a position where you're really good? Like, and he is a good pitcher. He's just in like a slump right now. No, he pitched really well like 2 weeks ago. Anyway, it's hit or miss. So I'm like, would you rather do this or that? And he's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to keep pitching. Okay. But he stays mad and he stays upset, and he uses that anger and he gets upset, right? And then he starts nitpicking all the things that he sucks at. And I'm like, no, you're a good. And that's where Cody's like, dude, you're freaking hitting. He's like, oh, because I suck at hitting. And we're like, you're hitting like 800 on the season. What are you talking about? Like, that is not even what this whole thing is about. This isn't even why you're upset. He just starts like blaming other things. I'm like, come out, see me. Let's like go for a walk. You need to cool down. And he's like, no. And I'm like, no, you can come out. So then Cody turns around because he's in the dugout, right? And he's like, you can either go with your mother or you can go home. Those are your options right now. So he comes out of the dugout. I'm like, go walk. So he walks, comes back. He's still sniffling. He's still upset. So then I'm having a conversation with him away from the field. And I'm like, he's like, can I go back in the dugout? I'm like, no, look at you. I said, your team's trying to battle back right now. Like, we were losing. I said, they're trying to battle back right now and you're leaving them to do it by themselves. So I'm like, you're not going back in there. They're pumped up. They're doing really well and they're trying to get back into this game, and they don't need your mood bringing them down. I will always be 100% with my kids. I will never sugarcoat things to make them feel better about themselves, because the hissy fit that he was having wasn't like, no, why are we doing this? So he's standing over there, right? We're in the outfield. We get 3 quick outs. We come back up to batting. And he had just batted, so it wasn't his turn in the lineup. We're getting runs in. We end up tying the game, right? I think that was when we tied it. Yeah, we went into like an extra inning because we were down by 4. So we were kind of back and forth with the team the whole time. But anyway, we tied the game back up. And I'm like, I asked him like 3 or 4 times while his team was batting. I said, are you ready? Like, are you good? Are you ready to go back? He stopped crying, stopped being upset, but I could tell he was just pissed off. Like, are you good? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, don't be good then. Like, whatever, you can stay out here the whole rest of the game and just quit on your team. It finally goes back out right at the end of the inning. And I don't know if he's thinking like, oh, I'm going to go back into the field. He goes back into the dugout and he's benched, as he should be. So he sits again and his team plays the outfield and he's just sitting watching on the bench, not on the fence, not cheering them on, not doing anything. Like, this is so not okay. And like, Cody's like, this is so embarrassing, like, that he's acting like this. We're batting last because we're the home team and it's a tie game. And it was a tough decision, but Cody kept him out of the lineup and didn't let him bat. We were proving a point that you don't get to act like this. We were proving it to him and to the team, right? Because if they see like, okay, Eli can't act like this and he's a coach's kid, like, we can't, you know what I mean? It's a point proven to everybody. So anyway, game ends. It ends in a tie. We get home and we have a long conversation with him. And Cody essentially tells him, you're off the team. Like, you're not playing baseball. If you want to get back on the team, you can write your team a letter apologizing for the way that you acted. And they can decide if they want you back on the team or not. Again, obviously, like, his team loves him. They're a solid team. They're a good group of friends. So we already knew, like, obviously he would be back on the team. But it was proving a point to him that you don't get to act this way, because at the end of the day, this is a team sport right now. And you are put in positions for what's best for the team. You don't get to act a certain way. You don't get to say things. You don't get to show the attitude and the mood and the talking back. That is not how good athletes act. So we talk all the time with him specifically about, you know, when you get to the point where you are like applying to colleges and sending videos out and recruiting and all of the things, coaches don't just look for, and Cody and I, we went through this, right? So we know the process. We know what coaches look for. We know how D1 athletes should present themselves. And I know he's only 10, but the things that we instill in him now are things that he'll carry into his career, wherever that takes him, whatever, in schooling, in life, good habits just as a person to have. And so when college recruiters are looking for athletes, they're not looking for the best athlete all the time, right? They're looking for an athlete who is well-rounded, who has a good attitude, who knows how to lose, right? You can be upset, but you can't take that anger out on yourself or your teammates. How you enter and exit a field coming from the baseball standpoint. Are you running out there? They look for character. They don't just look for skill. And so that's something we're trying to teach him now, because when you look at athletes on the screen, the people that these kids look up to, not all of them, yeah, they may be the best athlete, but they're not the best athlete. Do you see what I'm saying? They're not the best teammate. They don't act the best. They have an attitude. They yell at refs. They yell at whatever. So you can be a good player or you can be a great athlete. And I definitely think that there's a significant difference between the two. That is what we instilled in him. And so he went to practice yesterday and he read his letter to his team. Cody asked them, like, you guys get to decide if you want Eli still on your team. And of course they said, like, yeah, like whatever, hugged him, all the things. But I think it's an important lesson to learn. I think it's important to learn as parents that we have to also hold our kids to that type of standard too, right? Like I understand they're just kids, but this leads to more things in the future, right? And if you have a kid who thinks that they can just act the way, however, that it's just a phase or it's this or it's that, but if they're not learning anything through that phase, like Eli has always been a pretty emotional kid. Anybody who knows him knows that. He's like our sensitive, emotional guy. But it's taken years. This is why we've done wrestling. The parent, it was more for, he needed to learn how to lose by himself. I truly believe it's been teaching him a lot about his emotions, how to control them, how to fight through them, right? Because he used to like give up in round 1 in wrestling and just like crown the mat when things didn't go his way. And I'm like, no, we're not doing this. And that was always our biggest rule in wrestling too. I don't care if you lose every single match. We care if you give up or if like you quit on the mat or if you cry afterwards. That's what we care about, right? Because you can be upset that you lost, but you're not going to cry, especially on the mat. You can be mad, but again, use that to fuel your next match. Get pissed off and put that energy into what you're doing with your body. So anyway, long story short, I definitely feel like wrestling has been helping with that. And he's been doing so well this baseball season. He's a good athlete, but we are trying to focus on the internal part, right? Because he can get into his head. He can be really hard on himself. He can lash out, he can get upset, he can cry. So these are things that we're starting now because again, it's already been 3 years of this. So it can take time and like it's not an overnight thing. I don't expect him to be able to handle his emotions at 10. That's not what this is. I just want him to redirect that in a more positive way. So all that to say is as they get older, it's only going to hurt them in the long run if as parents we're not helping them now. Right? If we're not helping them regulate their emotions, know when it's the right time, when it's not the right time. I just felt like it was really important to share that. I don't know why. I feel like half the people don't watch my stories in their entirety all the way through. But if you're a sports parent and you did watch this, yeah, it's just a good reminder, right? To know to raise kids who are kind and who care about other people. That's another thing. Eli's such a compassionate kid, and I will never fault him for that. I love his compassion. It makes me emotional just thinking about how sweet and kind and nice he is. And that's also part of like him being like very emotional. I feel like it all comes from the same place. So I would never change that about him. I just, like I said, want him to redirect some of those emotions. But anyway, he's such a sweet, compassionate kid, like already at 10. He's so nice to other kids and other players. And most of the time when he does lash out with things like this, it's on himself. It's not like directed at other people, which I think is really important. But anyway, yeah, we're just trying to instill in him to be the best, well-rounded athlete and person he can be. I guess what it boils down to. And I feel like as parents, everybody should be doing that. So just a quick PSA, that just because he's a coach's kid, he gets it the hardest. Like he does. Cody's really hard on him. If you've done lessons with Cody, if you've known him, if he's been your child's coach, he's not I'm just going to let these kids do whatever they want. He's a tough coach, and he will give it to kids, and he will also lift them up. He's very supportive. He's great at pep talks. He's a great mentor, and I love that Eli has that, and all of our kids have that, because just both being athletes, I think that's where it stems from for both of us. Yeah. I don't know. That's all I have. That was a lot. That was our story from this weekend. So hopefully he doesn't make that mistake again. I don't know if there'll be a second chance. We'll see.